She looked at you across the dinner table, the same woman who once looked at you like you hung the moon, and she said, "You don't know what you're talking about." She didn't whisper it, she didn't apologize, she said it like she believed it, and in that moment, part of you died. But here's what you missed in that moment. Here's what you missed in every moment a woman has ever made you feel small, incompetent, or invisible. And understanding this one thing is going to change everything you think you know about women, about yourself, and about why relationships after 50 feel like they are rigged against you. But before you assume this is just another video telling you that women are impossible to understand, stay with me, because what I'm about to share is backed by decades of clinical research, attachment theory, and neuropsychology, and it has nothing to do with you being broken, incompetent, or past your prime. Let's start with what most men believe. When a woman belittles you, when she mocks your driving, dismisses your opinion, laughs at your plans, or corrects you in front of other people, your brain does what any man's brain would do. It goes to war. You feel attacked. You feel disrespected. You feel the urge to defend yourself, to withdraw, or to fight back. And if you're over 50, this hits differently, because you're not some 20-year-old kid who can just brush it off. You've built things, you've survived things, you've earned your place in the world. So when a woman makes you feel like none of that matters, it cuts deep. But here's what nobody tells you. She isn't doing this because she thinks you're incompetent. She's doing it because on some level she feels unsafe. And I know that sounds backwards. I know it sounds like I'm making excuses, but the research on this is undeniable. In 1998, Dr. John Gottman of the Gottman Institute published findings that would reshape how we understand relationships. He discovered that contempt, eye-rolling, mockery, name-calling, belittling, is the single strongest predictor of divorce, not conflict, not disagreement, contempt. But Gottman didn't stop there. He found something even more specific. Contempt isn't actually an expression of superiority. It's a defense mechanism. It's what people deploy when they feel emotionally overwhelmed, when their nervous system detects a threat they cannot name, and when their prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational, measured communication, goes offline. When a woman belittles you, her amygdala is firing, her stress response is activated, and her words are not a measured assessment of your character. They are emotional discharge. They are the psychological equivalent of a pressure valve releasing steam. And the most dangerous part? She probably doesn't even know she's doing it. But wait, it gets deeper. In attachment theory, pioneered by John Bowlby and later expanded by Mary Ainsworth, we learn that human beings develop internal working models of relationships based on their earliest experiences. A woman with an anxious attachment style doesn't just feel insecure, she feels chronically unsafe in intimacy. And when intimacy gets too real, too close, too vulnerable, her nervous system panics. She cannot say, "I'm scared you'll leave me," or "I'm terrified you'll see that I'm not enough." That level of vulnerability requires a secure base she may never have developed. So instead, she pushes you away by making you feel small. She creates distance through criticism. She tests your strength by trying to break it. And if you fail that test, if you crumble, withdraw, or explode, her worst fear is confirmed. Not that you're weak, but that intimacy itself is dangerous. And here's the part that stings. When she belittles you, she is often projecting her own unacknowledged shame. Carl Jung wrote extensively about the shadow self, the parts of us we reject and cannot integrate. Modern neuropsychology confirms what Jung suspected. When people attack others for specific traits, they are frequently externalizing their own internal battles. The woman who calls you indecisive may be paralyzed by her own fear of making wrong choices. The woman who mocks your ambition may be drowning in regret about paths she never took. The woman who questions your competence may be fighting a private war with her own sense of inadequacy. She isn't seeing you clearly. She is using you as a screen to project a movie she's too terrified to watch alone. Most men over 50 completely miss this because you've been trained by a culture that told you masculinity means never showing hurt. So when she belittles you, you armor up, you shut down, you tell yourself she doesn't respect you and maybe the relationship is over. But what if you saw it for what it actually is? What if, in that moment of contempt, you were witnessing a cry for help disguised as an attack? Before I get to the third layer of this, and this is the one that shocked even the researchers, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Has a woman ever made you feel small and you realized later it had nothing to do with you? And if you're finding this eye-opening, hit that subscribe button. This channel is built specifically for men over 50 navigating relationships in a world that stopped making sense. I don't do generic advice. I do research-backed truth for men who've lived enough to know that simple answers are usually lies. Now, the third layer. Evolutionary psychology and neuroendocrinology add a piece that most relationship coaches ignore. When a woman is in a state of chronic stress, and women over 50 are navigating hormonal transitions, identity shifts, empty nest syndrome, career recalibration, and a culture that tells them they're becoming invisible, her cortisol levels elevate. Chronic cortisol elevation impairs the prefrontal cortex and amplifies amygdala reactivity. Translation, she is literally not thinking straight. Her brain is in survival mode, and in survival mode, the nervous system defaults to the fastest, crudest tools available. For some women, that tool is aggression. For others, it's withdrawal. For many, it's contempt. It's the verbal equivalent of a cornered animal lashing out. Dr. Sue Johnson, the founder of emotionally focused therapy, found in her clinical work that beneath every harsh criticism in a relationship lies a longing for connection. The woman who says, "You never do anything right," is often trying to say, "I need to know I matter to you. I need to know you're here. I need to know I can reach you." But after years of unmet needs, of feeling unheard, of learning that vulnerability leads to pain, she has forgotten how to ask. She only knows how to demand. She only knows how to attack before she can be abandoned. And if you think that's the end of it, keep watching, because here's where it gets personal for you. When a woman belittles you, she is handing you a test you don't know you're taking. But it's not a test of your dominance. It's a test of your emotional stability. Your nervous system is being scanned. Can he handle my worst without abandoning me? Can he see past my armor? Can he stay present when I am impossible? This is not fair. I am not saying it is fair, but it is real, and men over 50 have a unique advantage here if they understand it. You have emotional scar tissue. You have survived losses that would have broken younger men. You have the capacity for steadiness that only comes from decades of weathering storms. When she pushes, she is not looking for you to push back harder. She is looking for a wall that doesn't collapse. She is looking for proof that she cannot destroy you, because if she cannot destroy you, maybe she can finally trust you. The neuroscience of co-regulation backs this up. Human nervous systems synchronize. When one person enters a state of calm, grounded presence, the other person's nervous system begins to match that frequency. This is not woo-woo. This is polyvagal theory, articulated by Dr. Stephen Porges. Your ability to remain regulated in the face of her contempt is not weakness. It is the most masculine thing you can do, not because masculinity requires stoicism, but because it requires the strength to hold space for someone else's chaos without becoming chaos yourself. So what do you actually do when she belittles you? First, you do not absorb it as truth. Her words are data about her internal state, not a verdict on your worth. Second, you do not match her energy. You do not escalate. You do not collapse. You breathe. You slow your speech. You say something like, "It seems like something else is going on here. I'm not going anywhere. Talk to me." You offer the one thing her nervous system is begging for, but her words are demanding you withhold: safety. And here's the hard truth. Sometimes the belittling is a sign that she is not capable of a healthy relationship right now. Sometimes the contempt is too entrenched, the projection too constant, the self-awareness too absent. You are not required to be someone's emotional punching bag while they figure themselves out. The research on contempt by Gottman showed that once contempt becomes the default language of a relationship without repair attempts, the relationship has a 93% chance of ending. You can understand her psychology and still choose yourself. In fact, understanding her psychology is what allows you to choose yourself without bitterness. But in many cases, especially in long-term marriages where the pattern crept in slowly, or in new relationships after 50 where both people are carrying decades of unhealed wounds, this understanding changes everything. It changes how you hear her. It changes how you respond. It changes whether you take her words as a death sentence or as a signal. I want to hear your story. I want to know if this reframing landed for you. Comment below. Have you ever realized that a woman's harsh words were actually covering up her own fear? And if this video gave you a tool you didn't have before, subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications. Every week, I break down the psychology of modern relationships for men over 50, because you deserve clarity in a world that loves to keep you confused. You are not incompetent. You are not past your prime. You are not the man she describes in her worst moments. You are a man who has survived enough to understand that human behavior is rarely about what it appears to be on the surface. When a woman belittles you, she is revealing her own battlefield. Your job is not to win the fight she started. Your job is to decide whether you have the steadiness to stand in the fire with her, or the wisdom to walk away before it consumes you both. That choice is yours. And now, finally, you have the clarity to make it.